Hello there, once again, Dr. KRISHBAB here. Last time I discussed to you about the dural venous sinuses, the venous drainage of the brain, the formation of the sinuses, confluence of sinuses, and the eventual drainage of the sinuses into the jugular system. Today it's about the blood supply of the brain. The cerebral circulation is made possible by a quadrilateral channel, four-way channel. The internal carotids on either side in the front and the vertebral arteries on either side at the back. All these four channels ascend up, enter into the cranium and communicate amongst themselves to form a circle called the circle of Willis to supply the various parts of the brain: cerebrum, cerebellum, pons, medulla, and the upper spinal cord. Why four-way? If one of the ways is defunct or deficient, the other three increase your perfusion to take care of the needs of the brain and maintain the cerebral perfusion pressure. The internal carotid artery gives off the ophthalmic artery to supply the eye and the orbit. It supplies the anterior cerebral and the middle cerebral arteries, which supply the majority of the cerebral cortex, and gives off a twig posteriorly called the posterior communicating to complete the circle of Willis. The vertebrals, after piercing the dura, you go medial and join together to form the basilar artery. From the basilar artery again, the posterior communicating branch joins to complete the circle of Willis. The branches from the posterior aspect are the posterior inferior cerebellar artery, the anterior inferior cerebellar artery, the superior cerebellar artery, the posterior cerebral artery. And from the basilar artery, various branches are given off called as pontine branches to supply the pons, midbrain, brainstem. This is the anatomy of the supply of the brain, the most important organ for the body. The brain cannot sustain hypoxia for more than a minute, resulting in damage or even loss of life. Victims of accidents, strokes, intracranial bleed, and other catastrophes have to be managed emergently. The attending physician should ensure oxygenation and perfusion of the brain so as not to cause cerebral hypoxia and the damages. The brain is also the seat of G forces. Vertical acceleration in your spacecrafts, space shuttles, even your roller coaster makes you experience a G force, wherein the blood is diverted away from the head towards the lower limbs. As you accelerate more, you experience a grey out, tunnel vision, even a blackout and a loss of consciousness. G forces are experienced by high-speed drivers, drag speed racing, IndyCar racing, Formula One racing, all experience horizontal G forces in their acceleration and negotiating the steep turns and chicanes. It has been found up to 6.5 G recorded in Formula One drivers' stress system. The accelerometer itself records and shows us live. Because of the circle of Willis, there is a phenomenon called a subclavian steal syndrome, wherein if there is a block at the origin of the subclavian, it cannot rise up to the demands of the upper limb. Whenever the upper limb is exercised, in order to compensate for the demand, the blood from the circle of Willis is diverted through that vertebral system retrograde into the subclavian and into the upper limb, wherein you get a vertebrobasilar deficiency, syncopal attacks, blackouts and all. The brain has got wonderful autoregulation. Whatever come may outside environment, the inside homeostasis is maintained in the form of constant cerebral perfusion pressure. Metabolic autoregulation, chemical autoregulation, pressure sensing autoregulation, and neural controls. Such is the importance of this cerebral organ created by nature, which nourishes it with the highest cardiac output at rest. 15% of the cardiac output is devoted to the brain through these 4 channels. Up to 750 ml of blood is pumped per minute into the brain for oxygenation, for glucose, and for supply of the various nutrients. I hope I have stimulated your cerebral perfusion as well. Thank you for listening. You can always send back your likes and the not so likes as well. Thank you. Good day.